Chests are back. Sort of. And champions are getting a rework. Also sort of. Let me explain. First of all, the champions rework will get rid of the 3-card cycle, so you can get a champion in hand before it dies. The way things used to work before is that if you had a Mighty Miner and played a Firecracker, all you had to do is only play 3 cards to get back to another Firecracker, because you weren't allowed to have 2 Mighty Miners at the same time. Now after this change, the card cycle in decks that have champions will act the exact same as decks without them, so you would have to play 4 cards to get back to your Firecracker. And since the champions will get back to your hand, this means that you can technically stack as many of them as you want as long as you have the elixir for it. And no, the game treating them like normal cards doesn't mean that you can have 2 in the same deck. The reason this was removed because people found it confusing. Like for example, did you know that if you first play a queen and they lightning it before you play another card, you can literally cycle back to another queen before seeing your Royal Hogs, which was really weird. And the second reason is due to how stupid spell cycling was with 3-card cycle. Thank God we only had to get tortured for 4 years before they removed it. You can tell I was a huge fan of 3-card cycle. When there was a glitch that allowed multiple champions on the arena, clicking an ability triggered it for all of them for the price of 1 ability. But the new system doesn't work like that. With the new system, only 1 champion will trigger the ability.
Let's go gambling!
I'm just kidding, it's not random. If you look at the little prince that spawned the Guardian, you will notice that he has a crown icon. The icon will tell you and also tell the opponent which champion can trigger the ability and which ones can't. The icon is usually transferred to the most recently deployed champion. So say you have a Golden Knight on the left and you play another one on the right, this means the one on the left can no longer do an ability, so it's safe to use a Goblin Gang on it. This remains true even if they kill the Golden Knight on the right, as the crown indicator does not move back to the other one. Once deactivated, it becomes a regular troop. Literally, the ability icon goes away despite having a champion alive. Now, one thing I want to note is that the soul bar of the Skeleton King doesn't transfer with the crown icon, therefore you can't drop him and click it immediately to get a ton of skeletons instantly. We all know when you use an ability there is a cooldown that you have to wait for to use it again. With the new system, the cooldown is still there, but deploying a second champion will instantly refresh it back. All these things do apply to Mirror since it allows you to play a second champion and you can use it to refresh abilities after using it instantly. But I don't think this will be relevant, at least in regular game modes, because you would have to be shitting elixir to pull a double ability combo. How will this affect each champion? Is it a buff or a nerf? Little Prince will no longer be used in those fatherless rocket cycle princess spam decks, which is great because I can't stand that playstyle. The lack of 3-card cycle will make him much weaker against cycle decks because he himself doesn't provide much value against them, but I think it will be way stronger against heavy decks as it technically acts like a spell-proof dart goblin, and given you can cycle multiple ones, beatdown players are cooked here. Mighty Miner is gonna be ass against cycle decks because the base troop is genuinely useless here. But boy oh boy, I cannot describe the amount of fear I have from facing it using a giant deck. First one kills the miner, and the second one they deploy on the support will just cook everything. Boss Bandit will see some shift in playstyle. I think it will still be good in bridge spam, don't get me wrong, but since the strength of the card mostly lies in its base stats, I can see some cycle decks abusing it and maybe even split lane pushing with Boss Bandit on each lane. Keep in mind though, deploying a second Boss Bandit is a little bit risky because the first one will lose the crown, therefore it's a freaking tower activation since they can't teleport back. Skeleton King will be slightly better because as a card he has some good damage, HP and splash support, so he can be worth 4 elixir without the ability. But he doesn't pose much of a threat without the ability, so facing 2 or 3 Skeleton Kings at once is not that polarizing. I know drill players are crying though because they can no longer outcycle him when he is still alive from the previous drill he defended. They will have to worry about him on every single drill push they do. Goblinstein, I'm not entirely sure, but I know he has some potential to be confusing, cause where do you think his lightning will chain? Bet you didn't see that one coming. I kind of think you probably did because of the way I was talking about it. I don't think it will be hard to keep track of him in a real game though, but I low-key wish the monster had a crown icon or something above its head, makes it more clear in general. I feel like the main issue with Goblinstein in the old system is that if you attack with it and the doctor survives for too long, you won't have it back on defense in time. This is especially rough when there is a big counter push coming your way and you don't have another mini tank in your deck to support your squishy cards. With the new system, since you can have 2 Goblinsteins, you won't really find yourself in this situation, so I guess it's harder to punish Stein players now. Monk will just no longer be as viable as it was in Royal Giant Cycle, because one of its main purposes is to help cycle to spells and Royal Giants faster. I think it'll still be fine though. Maybe it will be more used in different decks now, like some bridge spam 3 musketeer decks or something, I am not entirely sure. And finally, Queen will be significantly better against beatdown because you can keep another one in hand just in case a lava player lightnings it. And worse against cycle cause having a second Queen means the first one dies from death by just existing, and the lack of 3-card cycle will really hurt her. Now let's cover chests. First one is the common lucky chest, and those will drop cards and gold only. Think of them as a substitute for silver chest, I guess, nothing too fancy. The second one is magic lucky chests. This is just lucky drops but reskinned into chests. It could be to fit the theme of the game or nostalgia bait, but either way it changes nothing for you. Like, I think it's still the exact same rewards and drop rates. Now here is the spicy stuff. Seasonal lucky chests. This changes every season, so right now it's Halloween themed because next month is October. The reward will have some cards following a certain theme. For example, expect Skeleton King, Skeleton Army, Bombers, Witches, etc. It also has some new banners and new emotes, which I don't know if I can show you, so I'ma just put normal emotes here on the screen. And it will give you a chance of getting the Evo released this season, which was conveniently leaked by TV Royale, so I have something to put over this voice line. Interestingly enough, there are 2 seasonal lucky chests this season, and the second one will be mostly focused on the second Evo coming next month. Again, conveniently leaked by the TV Royale, so enjoy. It might sound bad that the second Evo is in a lucky chest because gacha bad, but don't worry, we have a pity system here. Pity systems are usually a way to limit bad luck by guaranteeing a drop after X amount of attempts, or increasing the odds every time you fail until you get the featured item that you are looking for. In Clash Royale, it will be kinda different. I don't have the actual numbers or the pity screen, so I'll explain the idea. If you open, let's say, 5 seasonal chests, you will get a guaranteed Evo shard from the new Evo. Then let's say at 7 chests, you will get legendary cards, and then at 10 you will get another Evo shard from the new Evo, and then maybe at 13 you get a new emote. You get the point. In this example, opening 30 chests would guarantee the new Evo if we go by the 1 shard every 5 chest system, but this is very unlikely. Oh, and if you hate gacha in general, I think the Evo will be sold in a shop offer anyway, so use code Abdod if you're gonna buy that. Fun fact, 3-card cycle was the reason I quit Clash Royale back in 2021, which is funny because coincidentally they released Clash Mini a few months after, and it replaced Clash Royale for the 3 years it existed, my dudes.